Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, Dino's back from the dead.
Yep, I'm still away, man, because just like we're going to talk about all this crazy government spending, thanks to the extended unemployment benefits, airlines are canceling flights left and right. So I'm kind of stuck here for a while.
Absolutely. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about the infrastructure bill that's about to get passed. It's going to the House, and then from the House will be going to the president's desk. So the there were a few very interesting things that were included in this bill. Now, this bill has over roughly 3,000 pages. So, Democrats and Republicans, they love to cram all these things in when a bill's coming, and they're hoping no one reads it. But here are some of the more important things that we want to share with you guys. So here we go. U.S. Senate bill seeks to require anti-drunk driving vehicle tech. Now, the most important part of this article, oh, it's not highlighted. Oh, okay, here we go. In 2019, lawmakers told Reuters that automakers could use devices that would determine a driver's blood alcohol level by touching their steering wheel or engine start button, or could install sensors that would passively monitor a driver's breath or eye movements. The bill will require the U.S. Transportation Department to set a technological safety standard within 3 years and give automakers at least another 2 years to comply, as long as new requirements are reasonable, practicable, and appropriate. So not only do we have this in this monstrosity, we also have avoid hot car child deaths. This is also in the bill. And towards the bottom, the sort of technology that they will be incorporating will be to develop radar-based systems that could detect children or pets left in the back seat and then send out an alert. So, Dino, what are your thoughts on this portion of the bill?
Just like everything else that they do, it's going to sound good. Like, oh, how could you not be against drunk driving? How could you not be against hot car child pet deaths, whatever? Except this to me really ties into the Trojan horse thing that we have written down here, is that I would bet anything that it's going to start off as alcohol sensor, motion sensor. It's not stopping there. It's eventually going to be listening to you. And that, I think, is where it's headed. And that's the main and big point of this.
Why do you believe government has such a hard on to control every aspect of the citizens?
And I think it's kind of simple in just that it makes their job easier. They get to do what they want. You don't. They just tell you what to do, and you're supposed to listen, and that's it. They're generally lazy.
I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly. So let's pivot to the second portion of this infrastructure bill. Look at this. Pilot plan to charge drivers by the mile is hidden in Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. American drivers could soon trade paying taxes on gas at the pump for owning the government annual per mile user fees under the new pilot program recently passed by the Senate and Joe Biden's $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure deal. Now, this is a very terrible thing that's being incorporated right now. So as you can see, I'm gonna show you guys, when do you have to start paying a vehicle miles travel fee? There is only a pilot program for a vehicle miles travel fee. Therefore, following the completion of the pilot program, the Biden administration may or may not implement a vehicle miles travel fee. For the pilot programs, there will be volunteers from all 50 states, including both passengers and commercial vehicles. The drivers will have their miles tracked with GPS and data apps, for example, that would track their miles driven for a certain time period. Will the vehicle miles tax replace the gasoline tax? It depends. A vehicle miles tax could replace a gasoline tax, or it could be implemented in addition to the gasoline tax. Now, I believe Pete Buttplug. That I can't say his last name, so I have to say Pete Buttplug, who's in charge of the Department of Transportation. He said that this tax was not talked about. They were not planning to implement it in the bill, but guess what? They did. So another outstanding case of politicians lying. Thoughts on that, Dino?
Yeah, first thing is, yeah, there's no way that they're going to go with just one or the other. They're going to tax on both, no doubt. And of course, it's all going to be because of climate change. But there's also something else that I just thought about, and I wish I would have pulled up a screen for this earlier just to back up my statement here. But I remember back in the 90s, because I can, that in the 90s, they had finally removed a tax on telephones that was originally put there to fund the Spanish-American War. And obviously that war had been over with for like 100 years. And we were still getting taxed for it. It wasn't much, but that's not the point. We know that if they tax you for something, it's going to stick. It's never going to get repealed, man.
Now, so this is a very important point for everyone watching. So they're basically admitting not only would you pay a gasoline tax, but you also will be paying this VMT tax. So for a lot of you guys that are drivers out there that travel 1 to 2 hours to work, you're going to be affected very hard for this. Now, I'm going to let Pete Buttplug, I'm going to let Pete Buttplug speak real quick. And I'm saying that in an artistic ability. So CNN doesn't say I'm bullying Pete Buttplug. So I'm saying this in an artistic manner. So when it's artistically said, you can say it on YouTube. So let the wizard speak.
You said also that a mileage tax showed, quote, a lot of promise as a way to help pay for the plan. That tax would charge people for how many miles they drive. Is that under consideration?
No, that's not part of the conversation about this infrastructure bill. So just want to make sure that's really clear. But you will be hearing.
He wants to make sure that's very clear.
Yeah, okay, it was.
So whenever a politician says one thing, just think the opposite, and that's most likely the outcome.
A lot more details in the coming days about how we envision being able to fund this. And again, these are carefully.
So the way they're going to fund it is by taxing us more. So very important point I wanted to bring up, right? Not only lower class people will be affected by this the most, but also the middle class stands the most to get a green weenie from this, essentially. A green weenie in the Marine Corps is you're getting screwed. So let's say you're an NYPD officer, right? And you just bought a house in Mount Vernon or Eastchester. Let's say that the tax is 25 cents per mile. And let's say you drive about roughly 30 miles per day. That will be roughly $7.25. Now, if you times that by 30 days, that's roughly $225 on top of what you're paying for on gas. So now that's just me throwing out a number. It might be even higher. It might be 50 cents. We don't know what the tax is going to be for each mile that's driven. So how disastrous do you think this is going to be for Americans?
I think it's going to be pretty bad if that gets implemented the way we're talking. You could say that rural and, like you said, suburban America is going to get hit really hard because you got to get in the car to just really go anywhere. You just want to go buy some groceries, toilet paper, whatever. You usually got to get in the car to do it. And, I'm going to sound a little political and skeptical here, but, those are highly red areas. Only the really, really hardcore cities are blue. So there you go. Exactly. So all of that red area is what's going to get taxed per mile. And those people have to drive the most. I think that there's been a push for it's been at least 20, 25 years when I first heard of this, a push to get people back into crowded cities. I like cities. I personally think it's a good idea, but I don't believe in trying to create society and push everybody towards it. If you don't want to live there, you shouldn't have to.
For
And you
clarification,
shouldn't
what do you think is a good idea?
living in a city.
Okay.
Just generally, I like it, but it's not for everybody, and it shouldn't be, so saying that they're going to tax people per mile or whatever, I'd go one step farther as to say it's actually being penalized per mile. That they're going to charge you just for your lifestyle. That they want you to live the way they want you to, not the way you want to or need to.
So in the name of their guy, climate change, they're going to go all out because this is sort of contradictory. Biden wants half of the cars driven on the road to be electric. So this kind of contradicts. If they're implementing this VMT, but then again, he wants half of the car fleet to be electric, but you're going to implement this tax. This is just another attempt for the elites to, in the name of their God, climate change, not have any carbon emissions. They don't want people driving. Only the rich, only the wealthy will be driving. Or you independent commercial freight drivers, oh yeah, you're going to get hit hard. You tack on thousands of miles a year. Imagine paying 25 cents per mile on that. Imagine that. And these are our friends, right? The Republicans and Democrats. Republicans, at least 20 senators signed up for this bill. Republicans lost their spine since Trump left. These are the guys we vote for, and we keep on putting them in. I can say this, me and Dino, we're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're independents. We just see that Democrats are moving very dictatorship-ish. They're moving like autocrats. So you could run with the show right now, Dino. Sorry, I had to go on.
Yeah, well, one last little piece about that is since they want to get rid of fossil fuel emitting vehicles or fossil fuel burning vehicles, that in essence is going to make the gas tax revenue much lower. So by taxing you per mile, if you're driving an electric car, they're going to recoup that. So basically it's a way to continue to tax you. Driving an electric car isn't going to save you money anymore, which is why probably a lot of people were going to go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, just so that people know, this is an article from Forbes, and just before we put the cherry on top of this, we're just going to show you the pros and cons for the VMT fee, right? So vehicles miles driven advantages. Supporters say the advantages of the vehicle mile driven fee includes a vehicle mile driven fee could help raise revenue for the essential transportation and infrastructure projects. From fairness perspective, both passengers and commercial vehicles will pay the vehicle. Wow. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, that it's fair. If a vehicle miles tax replaced the gasoline tax, then drivers will be taxed based on how much they drive. Wow. So the pros aren't really the pros. The pros are really the cons, right? So it gets even worse. Disadvantages, privacy concerns. Namely, the government can track citizen movements, including when and where they drive. Administrative difficulty, since every driver in the U.S. will need a device installed in their vehicle to track how many miles they drive. And this I can't say that word. Anyways, rural drivers tend to drive more on average and could therefore pay more than the urban and suburban counterparts. So those are the pros and cons,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like with everything else, just like you said, the pros are not really pros. Just like one of the biggest gripes that we have on here, whenever we double check fact checkers, they usually don't prove us wrong. They just skirt the issue and actually try to cover up something that's even worse. So, you know what? So from there, let's talk about, maybe what's behind all of this. So let's start here, Fact check. The World Economic Forum does not, quote, not have a stated goal to have people own nothing by 2030. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read this whole thing and bore you with whatever. I'll go ahead and surmise all of these links that we're putting up. But in essence, technically, they're right. The World Economic Forum does not have that as a stated goal. It's supposedly just a prediction of here's what's going to happen in the future. What I always like to wonder is, how do they know that? How are they predicting that? So the World Economic Forum as a group might not have it as a stated goal, but it's not far-fetched to say that the individual members in the World Economic Forum, they have it as individual goals. And that's kind of how they know that this is going to happen. So on that, let's go ahead and I'll bring up.
So just for people who know, the World Economic Forum, when you think of that, just think of the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, the Council of Foreign Relations. They're in that sort of network, in that sort of sphere. So well-connected, very powerful people. And that's how they meet and they do their thing.
Okay, so here, on one hand, we have people saying that the World Economic Forum is not saying that you're not going to own anything, but at the same time, the people involved with this are actually buying up everything, so you can't own it. So here we go. This is an old story. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this already, but it's good to bring it up. Bill Gates is reportedly the largest farmland owner in America. He's the largest single owner, and there's obviously millions of more acres than what he owns. So a lot of people would throw that out as a debunk, saying he owns a relatively small amount. But you know what? He still is the largest owner. Now put him and then put Monsanto, Archer Daniels Midland, put those right next to him. And now we're talking about a much bigger percentage of the farmland being owned than just by one person. And that's where they're going with this, So they're trying to say that they're not wanting us to own nothing, but that's not what they're doing. That's not how this works. So having that, there's even more.
Always more.
Yeah. I'll say, but wait, there's more, like the old salesman used to say, but that's probably over everybody's head. I'm too old. So let's go here. So as Bill Gates is buying up farmland everywhere, you've got BlackRock buying up houses, like entire neighborhoods at a time. Now, this article here is actually a debunk or a fact check for it. And I got to say, I agree with them and I get where they're coming from, and again, I'm not going to read it. I'll just surmise it. What they're saying is that this has always happened, especially since the housing crash of 2008. That's when companies really started doing this. So they're going to say that it's nothing special, nothing crazy that BlackRock is doing this. Why is everybody up in arms now about it? I'm going to say, my opinion is at least someone is up in arms about it now, because they should have been up in arms about it in 2008, or when the real estate investment trusts first got listed, first came around. All of that stuff should have been complained about then, but it's a slippery slope, and people didn't quite realize it was going this way. So again, the billionaires are buying up the farmland. The billionaire corporations are going to buy up the housing, and they're trying to tell us that they don't say we're going to own nothing, but we know that's totally not where this is headed. So what you got on that, brother?
Well, just for the people that are watching, BlackRock is one of the largest asset owners in the world. They own roughly $7 trillion worth of assets. So my thoughts is, as you can see, they have something big planned for 2030. Agenda 2030. You guys could look that up, research it. They're putting the clamp on Americans right now. They're saying, well, we don't really want you driving anymore. And then we don't really want you owning property anymore. Then we don't really want you coming into stores anymore. Do you have your vaccine, sir? No, I do not. Okay. See you later. Even though half the nation isn't vax, that hurts big businesses more than anything if you think about it, because you're cutting off 160 million people as potential clients. It's just idiotic. I don't really see, but it's so frustrating, brother.
It
Because
is.
it's clear as day, but
It is.
people would still dismiss us. They will say, "Oh, this is not reality. You're only a conspiracy theorist."
Right.
Even though the CIA made the term CIA, the CIA created the term conspiracy theorist to quell questionings that arise from JFK assassination.
Yeah. From questioning what they were doing.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's just they have all the water, they have all the land. Now they're buying all the homes in rural areas, so you won't own anything, and it's all owned by big corporate banks.
You know what?
When
You
does it
mentioned the
stop?
water. That's a good idea. Another episode. We're going to have to really hit the water conspiracy hard, because that's one that just I hate. That's my most hated one, is the damn water theft, But you know what? Let's go ahead and I'll wrap this up with one more little screenshot here. Just something worth talking about, worth mentioning to everybody in case they really, just to let people know that this stuff had been seen for a long time coming. This is a great old movie. It's a silent movie, so it's not really, it's not really for everybody. And it's actually seriously long. You'd be surprised. But it's just basically, there's a lot of subplots to it, but it's mostly just saying that there is a working class that is underground. They never get to come out. They're really nothing more than robots or automatons. And then you got the elite boss class that lives above ground, and they get to do whatever they want. They can go to movie theaters, they can go to restaurants, whatever, as if you have a vax card or not, kind of get where that's going. So
Mhm.
I just think anybody really interested in this stuff should watch that movie, and you'll see that this was predicted a long time ago, and that's where it's going.
So right now we're like in the second stage of Hunter Games.
Yeah.
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 But that concludes our show. Thanks everybody for watching. Please like or maybe dislike. And if you do dislike, let us know in the comments. So on that note, we appreciate you guys watching. The channel is growing, and we're gonna continue to put out these things, and hopefully, we stick around for a while. So anything, Dino?
Nope. Peace out, everybody.